Okay, so now let's go and try to get some half angle identities, okay? I'll start proving it and then we'll write it together on the lines below. Let's start with the cosine angle that we just got done writing, okay? Cosine of a double, I'm gonna use this one, 1 minus 2 times sine square of theta. This is one of the double angle cosines. Now guys, I'm going to try to solve for sine of theta, okay? So first, when you're solving for sine of theta, I'm gonna move the 1 over to both sides. So if I move the 1 over, I would have cosine of double minus 1 equals negative 2 times sine square of theta. Next, guys, I'm gonna divide both sides by a negative 2, okay? Okay, so now we have sine square of theta. Now on this side, can you guys see that I don't want negative in the bottom? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to the top. So if I move it to the top, that just means, guys, I'm multiplying the negative to the top, okay? So I'm going to multiply the negative 1 to top and bottom. And so it's going to say negative cosine of a double. So negative cosine of double theta. If I multiply to the top, this is now a positive 1 over positive 2. Now again, I don't want that negative cosine in the front, so all I'm doing really is rearranging it to be 1 minus cosine of 2 theta, now divided by 2, okay? So again, I just don't want negative on the bottom and I don't want negative in the front. Now my goal is to solve for sine, guys, so I'm going to take a square root. Every time we take a square root, as you guys remember, there should be a plus and minus, okay? Now I am going to rearrange it and put sine on the left. I don't know what it is, but I always like having, you know, the variable on the left side. So here's what I have after solving for sine. 1 minus cosine of double theta, okay, all divided by 2. So sine of 1 theta is plus or minus big radical 1 minus cosine of double divided by 2. But remember, I'm trying to solve for having half angle. So this is where math is so magical. Okay, we're going to say let 1 theta be some alpha divided by 2. Yep, this is all legal in math. So what that means is I'm going to take this, and every time I see a theta, I'm just simply going to let alpha divided by 2 sub in its place. So this is a plus or minus, still nothing's going to change. This is 1 minus cosine, right? And then I got 2 times alpha over 2 because that used to be a theta, all over 2, still under the radical. So as you can see here, guys, this is becoming sine of alpha over 2 equals plus or minus, right? If I'm letting this, so this is going to reduce here with the 2 and alpha over 2. So that's going to reduce that to just, oh, what happened? Okay, that was strange. My computer got power out, and then it deleted all of the stuff that I wrote with you guys earlier, so I just had to write it again really fast. But anyway, here we go. All right, cancel that really quickly. So here is our first half angle. Half just means we're dividing by 2. So now this is a plus or minus, big radical, guys. 1 minus cosine of alpha all over 2. Here is your first half angle identity, okay? We'll write that together in a little bit. But so the proof, guys, for the half angle identity for cosine and tangent, they are exactly the same. So here is what I'm going to do first. I'm going to write it first, okay? And then I'm going to prove one more, and then that's kind of how it goes, okay? All right, sine of, if you don't like alpha, you can absolutely use something else like theta. So sine of theta divided by 2 is plus or minus, big radical, keep that in mind, 1 minus cosine of theta all over 2. Now I'm going to write the other ones as well, such as cosine of theta divided by 2 equals plus or minus big radical 1 plus cosine of theta divided by 2. And then we'll write tangent. Remember, tangent is just sine divided by cosine. So we're just going to go the tangent of half, again, is still plus or minus. And then if we take sine divided by cosine, students, that means your denominator of 2 is now gone. So now we just have 1 minus cosine of theta. Excuse me. Evidently, I'm not done sneezing. All right. Divided by 1 plus cosine of theta. And all of that is in your radical. Okay. So guys, let me prove to you guys where the cosine half angle came from. Okay. So again, we're going to start with the cosine of double. But I'm going to use the other. Remember, cosine double has like 3 formulas. So I'm using this one. Same process, guys. I'm going to solve for cosine of theta. Okay, so first I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So when you add 1 to both sides, I'm going to have cosine of 2 theta, close it, plus 1 equals 2 times cosine square of theta, then divide by 2. So we would have cosine of 2 theta plus 1 divided by 2 equals cosine square of theta. And here's when we are going to take a square root. Remember, every time we take a square root, we should have 2 answers. That's where the plus and minus is coming from. And I'm going to write cosine of theta over here. Now, to keep it consistent with the sign, I'm going to move the 1 in the front, not because it's right or anything like that. It's just that, hey, when you try to memorize a bunch of different formulas, right, having it similar way is a little bit easier for you guys to memorize. And again, don't forget we have a plus and minus. Now, if you guys remember already, we are going to let 1 theta be alpha divided by 2. So if that's the case, we are going to say, okay, well, here's a theta. We're going to say divide by 2, and then plus or minus, okay, 1 plus cosine of 2. Oh, there's a theta. Replace with alpha over 2 over 2. So similar process as you guys saw earlier with the sine, right? The 2's on the inside with the cosine is going to reduce. So if you reduce that really quickly, that's going to give you exactly what we have written down on the left side. Okay. Okay. So final answer, cosine alpha divided by 2 equals plus or minus. Keep in mind this big old thing has to be under the radical. Okay. And again, as we said before, you don't have to use alpha. If you don't like alpha, you can use something else. Okay. So if you guys didn't hear me before with the tangent of half angle, we do not need to prove that because tangent of a half is just simply take sine of a half divided by cosine of a half, and the 2's are just going to be simplified out.